All right, guys, welcome to the Cycle 2 podcast. Well, video podcast, I guess. Today we're going to be talking about where we're going to be going. We just finished our first cycle, the 8-week cycle, and we saw a lot of success with that. A lot of people PRing a lot of awesome things. Push-ups, hopefully we'll get our real test with Murph here. That's usually a big piece of kind of a contention or stopping point for people within Murph. And we're going to do Murph on Wednesday, so that's going to throw kind of a wrench into the first week. So we're actually going to make this a transition week. Last week was a deload week. Deload is where we actually try to take some of the stress off the joints. We still do difficult workouts, but if you notice, we didn't do a lot of things that are really tough on the body, right? So your body should be feeling pretty good. Maybe after Fran today and after some thrusters, maybe not so much, but as we're starting to transition into the next week, you should feel like you're feeling pretty solid. If you're not, you need to make sure that you guys understand the purpose of the deload week, right? We can't get stronger, we can't let our muscles and joints heal up, and we're gonna run into injury issues if we are constantly pushing the envelope every single day, all the time, pushing. So we build in those deload weeks and we do them as back to basics weeks where we really focus a little bit more on the fundamentals, a little bit higher instruction value, and then you guys are really gonna hopefully take some things away from that on that end. But on the back end of that, we're not maybe going to do quite as much volume over the whole week as we might normally like at week 8 of a cycle. So this will be another 8-week cycle, and we'll actually start on the second week of July, so it'll be like July 8th, and we'll go for 8 weeks from there. We're gonna bring back the cleans and front squat cycle that we did last year. This was one that was super popular. People really loved it. It's a lot of fun because you get to do some touch and go squat cleans, you get to do some front squats. It's a lot of barbell work and it's pretty challenging. It's a great way for us to work on better positions. And if you guys are newer to Olympic lifting, it's gonna be a great opportunity for you to, number one, really work on the rack position, and number two, really dial in your cleans going into good front squat position. So that's something that's not easy for new people, but we get a lot of practice with this cycle. So it's pretty fast rounds and reps, and we're gonna be doing a decent amount of reps, so you'll get a lot of practice, which is really cool. It scales both ways, right? If we're scaling down, you're newer to cleans, you're maybe not quite as confident with them, you're gonna get a lot of practice. There's a lot of reps built in. If you guys are really established and you have a really big clean and a big front squat, this is going to take you for a ride. It is one of the more challenging programs, weightlifting-wise, that I've done. So just be smart as you guys are doing those. Make sure that you guys are plenty rested going into those days, and you're taking care of yourself on the recovery days in and around those. Maybe jumping into doing some Thrive Fit stuff, or maybe doing endurance for the week on your days right afterwards if you're feeling a little bit beat up or you feel a little groggy and tired. Okay, so that's going to be our big piece. We'll do those varying days between Monday and Wednesday. So like week 1 would be Monday, week 2 would be Tuesday, week 3 would be Wednesday, and so on. For the next piece for our overhead weightlifting, for our weightlifting portion is going to be the overhead stability. So we've done a little bit of this. You guys might have seen it in the deload week with some split jerk and holds, and really working on making sure that we establish good overhead positions as we start to finish some of these lifts overhead. So we just did a shoulder strengthening cycle with push presses. Now we're gonna work on the opposite end of that, which is stability. So the best way to get that sometimes is through doing carries. And so you'll see we'll bring back some of those split carries. We might even try some double overhead carries, but we'll work a lot on that stabilization while we're doing a simple movement pattern like walking or standing if we're doing holds, okay? And then we'll start to make things a little bit more difficult as the cycle progresses, and we'll do it inside of some squats and overhead squats. So our goal will be for probably the first half of the cycle to work those overhead holds, not squatting, really work on some good shoulder positioning, loosening up that thoracic, loosening up the lats, making sure the pecs are not tight from the push-ups and the stuff the day before, and then making sure that we can get back into a good position and hit extension with the shoulder. We're not flaring those ribs up, right? So we're gonna be talking about a lot of that kind of stuff and making sure that you guys are working on those core fundamentals and pelvic fundamentals so that we create a really nice tight core position locked in so that we can maximize that overhead stability. So those will be our 2 weightlifting focuses. And the overhead stability will also pair with one of our gymnastics focuses, which is gonna be some handstand stuff. Now, it's not always going to be handstand holds and kicking up and handstand practice and wall climbs and all that stuff that maybe people are kind of maybe not always as excited about, because sometimes just going inverted can be scary, can be really difficult, and can be really challenging, obviously. So we are instead going to work on maybe some of the background pieces of that. This week we worked on forward rolls, and you maybe worked a little bit on walking, and we're going to do some like wheelbarrows, and we're going to work on how to bail out of handstands. And we're going to work on some of these maybe more kind of tangential, big word, school word, tangential gymnastics pieces for handstands, and really try to make sure that we are teaching you guys how to bail safely, how to move your body in space. And remember, that's why we're doing it. I think sometimes wall climbs and handstand holds are so difficult that people don't actually focus on what their body's doing. And if you guys find yourself in that place, you need to scale down. If being upside down is so like you're just hanging on and you're not actually thinking about squeezing your abs and tightening your legs and extending and pressing through the floor, finding balance in your hands, if you're not able to actually think about those things, you're not actually able to get the focus in your brain off of the difficulty, you need to scale back down to a plank or maybe a lower position on like a box, and get to a point where you can focus on your core mechanics, on what your legs and feet are doing, and then that's going to be the best way for you to build up in the future, okay? Remember, all of gymnastics, really all of weightlifting, all of everything, all of this is building the appropriate base, okay? So we're doing a lot of that with the overhead stability work here, and then we're also going to build a really nice solid foundation for that handstand base. That is going to be one of the most fundamentally important things for us as we start kind of going into the later year. And then we're going to start really diving into the pull-ups. So Gymnastics Club just did a pull-up cycle, and then they're going to go into a muscle-up cycle here soon, and we are going to kind of take over the pull-ups. So we just got done with a push-up cycle. You guys are probably like sick to death of doing push-ups, and your pecs probably need a little bit of break from all that pressing anyway. So we're going to kind of go in the opposite realm, and we're going to make sure that we are hanging in, again, core mechanics, core mechanics, core mechanics. We have to make sure that we are able to posteriorly tilt or neutralize that pelvic position, lock in the core, get that nice big belly breath, and utilize that nice big air pocket of power and strength inside of the core while we go through the pull-up, okay? So a ton of negatives. That's where we're going to really dive into this. We've never, over all the years, we've done negatives, but we've never done negatives in a cycled pattern. Okay, so negatives are going to be a staple of this program. And this is going to be something, even for you guys who like, you know, we've got some guys who are 20, 30, 40, you know, strict pull-ups in a row. And this is going to take you for a ride. They are really difficult. And if you guys are newer, you don't have that first strict pull-up yet, this is going to be the best way for you to get them, is working really good position negatives, okay? We're going to start with the reps pretty low. We're going to start with the time pretty long, and then we're going to kind of inverse that as we go. So that's our gymnastics focuses as we go. And hopefully you guys can have some fun with like the cartwheels, with the bailing and the forward rolls, and just some of those little like different, like, it's like playing, right? We got the nice mats now, and so you guys can really kind of let loose and have some fun with that. So those are it for our two weightlifting gymnastics focuses. And then as we move on to conditioning stuff, my leg might be in the way here. We're gonna do sprint and agility work one time a week. So we just did some of this, and we've been practicing on some of it with running club, and we're going to start to bring some of this stuff into class, and hopefully you guys have a lot of fun with it. I know that the running club had a lot of fun with the agility work we did the other day when it rained us out, and we're going to try to make sure that some of that stuff is just, again, awareness of body, speed, and balance and coordination. And that's really one of the things that we want to get out of some of our conditioning pieces is, can we make you guys be balanced, coordinated, accurate, agile, and can you apply speed as you start to maybe get tired? And so we'll have one day a week where we do some of that, and you guys are going to be sprinting, okay? If you guys remember last year, we jumped into this full go. We learned our lesson a little bit, and we did 10 by 100 meters on our first day sprinting, And this time it'll maybe be like 8 by 40 meters will be our first time, and we'll take maybe a little bit bigger rest in between, make sure that we build up, and obviously we always do good warm-ups on those days. So that'll be our goal for sprinting, and then as we build up, we'll probably end with maybe 10 by 100 meters. For those of you guys who did that day, like that was one of the toughest days I've ever done inside of CrossFit. Simplest workout ever. 10 by 100 meters. It was like a minute and a half of rest each time. And then we are going to go and continue to go long a little bit with some of the running stuff. So we've gotten ourselves pretty comfortable, I think, inside of the mile route. And we're going to try to start maybe bringing that into a 2-mile route. And then I've also keyed up some races over the month of July. If you guys are interested in doing those with the running club, I'm trying to encourage them. There's a one at Darby Creek. They do a 5K and a 10K. Looks like a really fun trail race that some of us are going to sign up for. If you guys are interested in that, you should definitely check it out. And then as you guys start going through the season, we'll do some 2 miles, and maybe at the end we'll schedule a Sunday day at the track, which I think the run club has enjoyed, and do some of our test out 5K stuff. So you guys can come and join that if you guys are more interested in learning about running. And then that'll kind of take us into a little bit of the end of the running season. We'll max out, we'll do that 1-mile run. You guys should feel really prepared for that with the sprinting and going long a couple times a week. And then we're back into rowing and biking. And then hopefully by this winter, we can, set up and maybe do a little bit of like a spin or like a bike class along with our super popular Ashley Sway, who they just had their baby. If you guys haven't congratulated them yet, congratulations, guys. And she'll bring back the row club this summer. And then the last piece, guys, what I have written down at the bottom is classic CrossFit. So most of the days that we're going to be going in this cycle, and this is pretty true as we start getting to this time of year, we're going to dive back into a lot of your classic CrossFit girls. So we just did Fran today, and we're going to be working into a couple of the other girls, and you guys will see that in Test In Week, which will be, again, that first week of July 9th. And we'll probably hit 2, maybe even 3 girls that week, and those will be kind of our testers as we go. And then at the end of the summer, we will test out all of our girls again, and then that'll kind of be it for the females for the year. And then we shift into a little bit of hero work as we get closer to the winter time and we're stuck inside a little bit more. So looking forward to it. We'll have about 8 weeks here, guys, and then we'll be going. We don't have days too much on the overhead stability and handstands. Those will be kind of parsed all throughout, so we make sure that we get plenty of that. And then as you guys start getting into some of the cleans and front squats, you guys will see a little bit more of what I'm talking about with how challenging they can be. So hopefully you guys are as excited as I am. I know going into summer, the end of summer, we have vacations and all this stuff starts to come up. But if you guys are here for the cycle and you guys can be really consistent with it, you guys will see a big boost inside of your cleans and front squats, and then hopefully your overhead and shoulder positions. You guys can really focus that. If that's a struggle for you guys, you should maybe think about getting with a coach and establishing some goals, maybe even going to Jenny and getting a little goniometer test and see where can I get my shoulders to, what is my actual angle and percentage, and then have some real tangible measurable results and set some goals for this cycle with that overhead position. So see you guys out there.